Alright guys, welcome back. We're doing another video. I'm back from Portugal. First things first, it's my first day back and it's time to get started fixing the Pro car. If you guys followed any of my stuff, you know that we went testing, did a dyno, brand new engine, did a dyno tune on it, worked out really well, made great power, went to the track, and then immediately got rod knock. So we have to pull the motor out and replace the bottom end. But aside from that, I want to find out why it failed. So we're going to take some of the bearing caps off to try and figure out if it was oil starvation or like too much torque that caused like, you know, to squish the oil out at low RPM because of too much power. I don't know, but I want to find out so we can fix it. I'm also going to add an AccuSump, but coming back around, the main purpose for doing this is that I decided to go on Drift Week 7. I don't want to take the Chaser. I've worked out with Aaron that we're probably going to do some transportation for him. So since I'll have the truck and trailer, I'm not going to street drive the car. And I'm going to take the Pro car and get it prepped for hot pit. So the two things that this car is for, the main thing is hot pit. I'm going to compete all season in hot pit. I'm going to use Drift Week as basically the test session to get this car ready for hot pit. And it gives me a reason to kind of get it done really quick. We have about 2 weeks. I have to finish the 24 valve swap in my blown up Cummins, and I have to swap the motor in this my Pro car. So this video is specifically about pulling this motor out. We're going to yank the motor out tonight and get it prepped to go back in and then do the AccuSump and all that stuff. So hopefully we can get that done in a couple days. I don't want to spend a lot of time working on it, but at the same time we're going to do a thorough job and make sure everything's 100% because this car cannot have any failures this season. It has to be 100%. So let's get started. First thing I want to see is what the oil looks like. So we got it. That's backwards. Got it. Drain it, not tighten it. Okay. I'm guessing we're gonna see some metal shavings come out of here, which really I should probably drain this into a cup so I can see it better. Oh, that oil's like blue. My favorite thing in the world is draining out really expensive oil that hasn't even lived a full life. I love it. It'll get a second life in my Cummins truck as fuel. It looks pretty clean, but I really need to get it in some light and see if there's metal shavings in it. I don't even know what this is. I don't know why it's blue. I don't remember what I put in this car. Oh, this is a VR1. That's right. The goods. Every time we start recording, the music turns off because, you know, we can't have a copyright strike. But man, I wish you could hear the music. Jesse's like, this is the worst music I've ever heard in my life. Anyways, time to take out the drive shaft. We're gonna pull the trans separately. This is literally like one of the easiest cars ever to work on. These dog boxes, like boom, I mean, some of you guys know, they come out super, super quick. 4 bolts, we'll pull it out. We'll leave the bell housing and clutch attached to the motor, and then we'll pull it out that way. And there's no radiator up front, so literally it's just gonna go yeet up the top. I could drop the whole thing out the bottom, but I think we'll just go out the top since it'll be easy without the transmission. I want to leave the fluid in, so I've got these fancy transmission dinger-dingers that do the thing. Basically, whichever size fits in the back where the slip yoke goes, you just pop it in, and then it seals on the lip of the seal in there, and then keeps the fluid from coming out. So this is a super, super cool tool for pulling transmissions when you are not planning on draining them. And since this is new oil, and I hate wasting new oil, that's what we're gonna do. So that's the next step. We'll pull the drive shaft out, get that out. I literally think this is gonna take us like an hour to do everything. Really easy. And then once the engine's out, I can start tearing it down like tomorrow or the next day and get to it. No, I said it's gotta be done quick. So not tomorrow or the next day. It's gonna happen sooner than that. I wanna get the whole thing done tomorrow. Is it hitting already? There you go. Can you get below that? Can you go any lower?
Can we go back a little bit?
Yeah.
No.
No? We gotta pull that thing out, huh?
The box?
Can you get through it? Yeah, do that.
That's it.
Can you go that way at all? No. Ow. Input shaft too long. We gotta take that. We gotta take that thing out. Go back in. Uh-oh. What you done did. You're good. See how easy it is to get in and out? If that weren't in the way, that's gonna be an issue. So this drive shaft, what's that called? Drive shaft hoop is required for FD rules. So I had it in the car, it's installed in the car. And that's what's stopping us from the transmission being able to come back all the way to come out. So really, if I'm doing this, I should move this hoop back a little bit so we don't have this problem in the future. But I probably won't do that. If we ever have to replace the trans at the track, I'm gonna be kicking myself for not doing that. But it's a nut and bolt through the car. So really, I'm just complaining about petty stuff right now. But you know, sometimes if there's enough friction on top, you can like just take the nut off without having to hold the top of the bolt. Well, that worked for 3 of them. But this one is a nylock, and so it just spun on top. And now, now someone's got to go up top. So I was just jamming, like cruising, like, cool, this is really easy. And it turned from like really easy to like slightly less easy. So really, I'm just complaining about nonsense.
And you're defeated.
I do. I feel a little bit defeated. Now I gotta hold it somehow. Figured out it's underneath the seat up there. I don't know. All right, you do the bottom. I'll do the top.
All right.
I'm gonna get up there. I guess I can rant about how I can't get up there. It's a lift. We should be able to lower it, right? I just hate raising and lowering the lift. I'm gonna. I didn't used to weigh this much.
Dang, dude. Climb off the Clark.
No, I gotta be right here on this side of the seat. I'm not trying to go up there. I'm just trying to be. I'm not having a good time anymore. Let's do it. That's stronger. Alright. What's the worst that could happen? I still can't reach it. Alright, take 2. Let's get this trans out. Now it's just gonna fall right out, right onto my phone. You ready?
Yep.
Wiggle and pull.
Can you go back a little bit? There we go. I'm good.
All right, let's get this out of the way. All right, that's that. I guess really I could leave the slave cylinder on the car and not have to bleed it. So I'm gonna pull the bell housing and just let it hang. That's gonna make things a lot easier. All right, now we're on the top side. So it's basically just like intercooler piping, fuel lines, oil cooler hoses. I think we can leave the turbo and stuff. Actually, it's a V-band turbo. That'll come off really easy. We'll just take all that stuff off and then pull it right out through the top. All right, I almost forgot about this. This is absolutely by far the best part of this car is that mil-spec cannon plug on the firewall. So in order to pull the engine out, all I have to do is give that a 1/4 turn twist, if I can reach in there. Yep. And it's disconnected. That's my wiring harness, unplugged. Boom, I don't have to literally take off every single sensor and like flop it over the engine. Easy, I love it. That's some old school Chase bays. Huge shout out, I love those guys. I also wanted to show off a few of the cool features on this car. One is the way I do the coolant hoses. Obviously they're all hardline, but like you can't do, not hardline, but stainless braided. There is a Teflon liner inside of here that will melt if it gets too hot. That's actually a little bit closer than I'm comfortable with, but like right here, I've had a lot of problems with hoses melting. So I got these dash 6 adapters that push your hoses away from the turbo. And then this one is just a straight up hard line that goes back away from everything and then gets it to the braided line back there. But aside from that, this car has an electric water pump. So the hoses come up and do this. I would love to upgrade to dash 16 stuff. When I first built this car back in the day, I was trying not to spend a ton of money. So we just did slip-on hoses, and we actually had problems with them popping off because we run a cap that runs like 32 pounds of coolant pressure. And so we had to buy these T-bolts. By the time I spent all the money on that stuff, I probably could have done dash 20 or whatever it is, big hose. But aside from that also, there is, what was I gonna show? Oh, the wastegate lines are -3, so there's no hoses to pop off or anything. Super reliable. We were basically trying to eliminate the possibility of failures, but then of course you see a rubber line right there. But directly to the wastegate, I didn't want to deal with any overboost or like potential problems like that, so we did proper hoses on all the wastegate stuff. Remember how I was just talking about how excited I was about this quick release engine harness? Well, yeah, Brandon. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So, anyways, I was just looking at it, and whoever installed it, me, routed it in a way that it can't just come out because it's like wrapped around brake lines and stuff. So basically, I'm having to take half the harness. Come look at this. I'm having to take half the harness apart. You can see right there, it's like stretched through this hard line. Also, Chase Bays, shout out. I'm not mad at Chase Bays. I'm mad at myself for improper installation. But no, in all reality, I'm just complaining about nonsense again. Because I was all like, yeah, dude, this is really fast. We'll be done in a hurry. But not quite. Not quite that easy. Jesse's over here talking about this hose is hard to come off. It's really rigid. And I literally just come over and like, yeah.
I got it started.
You
I got it
loosened it
started.
up for me?
Yeah.
Thanks,
That's exactly what happened. You're welcome, by the way.
I was being sarcastic. No thanks to you.
Look at
We're
that
making a huge mess here.
giant mess. Yeah, you got it.
That's probably the wrong place to take that off from. Get on out of there. There we go. This car's really easy to work on. Right, Jesse?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear that I think Hulu is hiring Mike Judge to bring back King of the Hill? Yeah. That's going to be like a game changer.
Looking forward to it.
I hope like they have the same characters and like the same theme, but with like modern day issues, you know? That would be really, really funny. Because I told Alton that, and he's like, well, is Bobby going to be the dad this time? And I was like, I hope not. That would ruin the whole season, the whole series. It's got to be the same, you know? The same. Maybe add one new character or something.
But what about old man Hank?
I don't know.
Like he's Cotton.
It just... Hank is Cotton. And what would Bobby be like?
Like Hank. Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know.
What if he's a charcoal salesman?
Traeger sells Traegers?
Yeah.
Wood pellet grills?
Yeah, no. He sells big green eggs or whatever.
What?
He sells smokers.
Oh,
He's a mesquite guy.
That's what a Traeger is, Jesse.
A smoker?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
I don't know.
All right. We're from the South. We just use wood.
We use a trash can.
All right, I think this is ready to come out now. I think we're to the point where we're gonna grab the engine hoist, take off the 2 engine mounts, and hopefully it comes out. I purposely didn't put hooks on it because I was like, this will never have to come out of here again. So I'm gonna have to go get engine hooks and put them on there just to pull it out. It's a shame. All right, we're ready to pull this thing out. This is the part where we start lifting it up and looking around and then finding all the wires and hoses that I couldn't figure out when we were at that point. And then like the engine's balancing and like you yell at the other guy, hey, look at that hose, unplug it, take it off. It's really frustrating, especially if it's a one-man job. Yeah. Once again, I'm complaining about stuff that's not really important. All right, I got engine hooks on there. One time we were using a chain that actually wasn't welded right here. And we lifted up a 2J with it, and we got about to like the point that it was gonna come out and the chain failed and then it fell. That was pretty sketchy. So I always check my chains now to make sure they're welded. Also, that kind of speaks to how heavy these JZ engines are. They're definitely not lightweight engines by any means. Where's the
Finger dinger?
Finger dinger. It's right here. Found it. Oh. Yeah, remember the hoses and stuff I was talking about not taking out? I actually didn't unbolt the motor mounts yet. So that's kind of a big deal. Definitely not going to come out with those in there. Alright. I might need you to... Oh, there we go. Never mind. I was going to say I might need you to go from film guy to help guy, but... Looks like I done figured it out. No way. I don't see any hoses or wires attached. Looks like we got everything. No, never mind. Just as I say that. Didn't even see it. Never mind. There's nothing. There's no big deal. I didn't accidentally leave a hose attached. What is that? Oh, there's one more wire. This is... Don't know what that is. Oh, that's boost control. Okay. Get that back here. That was it. Just one hose and one wire. That's all I forgot. You see anything over there that I didn't disconnect? Yep, what is that? Oil pressure. Oh, turbo oil feed. And that just needs to go back. Done. Done. Alright. And that's what a $10,000 engine looks like when it's blowed up. Looks the same as the $10,000 engine that's not blowed up. One thing I haven't done on this engine yet is put the crank pulley on there, which I've got it. It's right here. I got this from the Wheelers when they abandoned the JZ family and went over to the Coyote 5.0. I bought this from them, but I haven't put it on this car yet. So now that it's out, I'll probably do that and give her some extra reliability. That's it. We are done. That's it for the night. So I don't know what we're doing next, but we'll continue the video tomorrow. Out. Welcome back, guys. What we're gonna do tonight is put this on the engine stand, and I don't know how far we'll get. Maybe take the oil pan. For sure take the oil pan, maybe take the cylinder head off. I'd like to get it stripped down to the point where we can do some forensic diagnostics and try and see what happened to the bearings. But first things first, we gotta take out the flywheel bolts. These are ARP bolts. I used to use a 13mm 12-point socket on these, but it's a little bit loose. They're actually meant to be a 1/2 inch standard size. And so I actually didn't have one, a 1/2 inch drive, 1/2 inch 12-point socket, so I had to go borrow one from Jake. But he had one, and here it is. And they're not stripping out. But these are all Loctited in there because your crankshaft has a fully drilled through passage. And so if these aren't sealed with something, then you'll get oil seepage past it, and then it'll get on your clutch, and then your clutch will slip, and then you'll be like, oh, my rear main seal's bad, but really you just didn't put Loctite on your flywheel bolts. So make sure to Loctite your flywheel bolts, and don't use a 13mm. These are on ARPs. The stock ones, I think they're 14mm, but the ARP ones are a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. They're also really shallow. Like the spot where the socket engages isn't very deep, so you got to make sure your socket stays on there really good. If your socket has a little bit of wobble to it, they're easy to strip out because there's not a lot of engagement. So make sure you push really hard when you're loosening them to keep that surface fresh. I swear I've got like at least 3 or 4 of these ARP flywheel bolts that are rounded off, and I won't use them anymore just because of that. So be really careful with that. That's only one thing I've learned from experience. I've ruined enough of them to not do it again. All right, flywheel's out. We'll put the spider on for the engine crane, and then, or the engine stand, and then we'll get it up and mounted, and we can start tearing it down. So check this out. One thing I like to do when I get these cheap oil cooler adapters, I don't trust the O-rings and the fittings and stuff, so I always try and weld them on there. And as long as the welds are good enough not to leak, it's always good. Because when you tighten these on, you can really like get them pretty cinched down without having them spin or like strip the threads or break them off or anything. So that's like a mod that I really like to do. Works out well. Oh, nice. All right, so we're taking the oil pan off now. I was hammering this in. You see, when you use a bigger tip screwdriver, it's kind of really hard not to bend the oil pan a little bit. But if you have a thinner scraper like this, it definitely helps out. And I don't like to pry from one spot. I like to work my way around a little bit to try and loosen up the oil pan. At least halfway around, then it'll start to come off. But if you just focus on one spot, you're gonna put a really deep bend in it and make it really hard for it to seal when you go to bolt it back on. I guess it's like removing a windshield. You gotta cut all the glue off of it. There, we got about halfway. We should be able to pry it down now. All right, now we're panning for gold, looking for any big chunks. Yep, there they are. Remember how we were talking about, Jesse, like they don't come out of the drain plug because they can't stay suspended in oil enough to go high enough to come out of that, so they always fall on the lowest point. So there's our bearing chunks. So that's enough to make me concerned about having to change the oil coolers. Those chunks are significantly big. That's a bummer. But that does confirm for sure that it was a rod bearing, which I wasn't really doubting, but it's always nice to get the confirmation in the form of giant metal flakes in your oil pan. Oh yeah, some of those are pretty big flakes, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah, look at that guy. Whee! Racing down.
Yeah, that's pretty serious there. Bummer. Big flakes. All right, definitely found the culprit here. Didn't have to look too far. Number one is pretty well cooked. I can't even see the rest of them back there. You can see 3. Can't really see 4. So 1, 2, 3. You can see number 1 is hot, and sorry, I should say number 1 got hot. Yep. Number 2 doesn't do that. So I'm gonna pull that bearing cap off and see what it looks like in there. Oh yeah, that's spun. That's bad. Yeah, that had to be an oiling issue with as hot as that got. No bueno, senor. That's Spanish. Means no good, senor. Where's the other half of that bearing? Where'd it go? Non-existent? How did it get so bad so quick? That's what blows my mind. So based on the sound, I didn't think it was gonna be this bad, but it'd be this bad. I was hoping that we wouldn't have to touch the crankshaft, but we're definitely gonna have to touch the crankshaft and have this rod cut. That really sucks. I didn't want to have to mess with that much, but luckily we have a spare long block, so that gives me time to get this one fixed properly and all that. But at least the rings and everything that way should be good with this one. It's just gonna be a matter of like washing the block out and using a different crank and then getting this rod machine. But as far as like the compression and the hone and everything on the block should still be good. So I guess that's an upside, I suppose, in all this. But I was definitely expecting to find less damage than we've got in here. It's kind of a bummer. All right, I suppose that's it for tonight. But this is the engine that we have ready to go for it. If you guys watch my other videos, this is the one we assembled right before Drift Week to put in the Chaser, and then ended up using the crash car engine for the Chaser. So this one's fully built, 10.5 to 1 pistons, where that one's 11 to 1. This one's got good rods, brand new pistons, all the good stuff. So it should be really easy and like really close to what that one was to swap them. And then I'll spend some time building that bottom end and putting it back together, and then maybe do that at the end of the season or use it for something else. But I think this bottom end will be just fine for what we're trying to do this year. So we're gonna go work on my truck tomorrow in Idaho. So we're gonna put this on hold for a minute, but we'll pick up the video when we get back in a few days. Welcome back, guys. Fast forward a few days, we got the cylinder head off. Cylinder head's on the ground. Sam's looking at it. We're gonna clean it up. We're gonna put it on that block. That block's ready to go. There's a few things that I'm missing, but basically things are going pretty smooth. It is Saturday. We have a few days until we need to be leaving, so this needs to really be running tonight. And I'm talking fast because we're on a tight timeline and I don't have time to waste making a video, so that's all you got right now. I'm gonna film some more in a minute. Kelly.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, I got this piece of Brillo pad here, and I'm scratching this.
I actually really don't care that much. So what I'm doing over here is the dowels for the head studs are not in that block. Don't know where they went. Kelly probably took them out, put them in his toolbox.
I don't have a toolbox.
I'm just kidding, Kelly. What are you doing?
Get out of here! Get out of here! I don't want my windshield washed. Get out of here! Come on, man.
I need to go get my eyes checked. Is that a new head gasket?
To be real, I had every intention of reusing the head gasket, and then Sam took it off and folded it in half right in front of my eyes. He's like, "You can't reuse this."
He did?
No, Brody did that once though.
That's not my
But we peeled it off, and like some of the black ended up sticking to the thing. And once the black's gone, I'm not gonna try and reuse it, especially on this motor. I might, like, if I was building a motor for Kelly. But
You do? Jeez, man. I thought, you know, sometimes I go home and I think, man, me and Brandon are good friends. And other times I go home and I think, what brake bleeder am I going to crack on his truck? Like, come on, man.
But I can't. So, I can't put this head gasket on without some copper spray. And the last can that we got, Jake was like, "Hey, you should check that copper spray because it's really gloopy. It sprays out like aerosol in a can of RTV." But I found another can that looks like it sprays out good. So I'm gonna use a new head gasket against all my better judgment to reuse a head gasket. Here, I'll help you guys. Yeah.
You need like, I guess like an airplane thing, like make sure it's all clear.
Oil's dripping on the fresh surface. Okay.
I think she's on.
I think she's on.
You just get the studs.
Yeah, I suppose. We might be able to do that. That went pretty
Hey!
smooth. It's almost ready to go in the car. I think you know this about me. Usually what I do is I let you do all the work on something, and then I come in at the last second and pretend like I did the whole job and start filming. But now I'm doing that for you. You're torquing the head, so now everyone's gonna think that you assembled the whole engine.
Which I did.
Yeah, you can have it.
Cool.
That's called plausible deniability. So if the engine blows up, I can be like, "Yo, man, I didn't touch it. It was Kelly."
It won't blow up because I built it.
Okay,
How about that?
that's perfect, man. There's nothing else I want to hear besides that.
All right.
So time for engine to go in the car. We skipped a few steps, but everything went together pretty smooth. one thing we did is we put a Tomei oil, what do you even call that?
Like
Baffle? Yeah, like an oil baffle in the oil pan. And we had to kind of like clearance the pan a little bit, but I think that's gonna make a really big difference for G-force, like oil starvation, slosh and stuff like that. We're also gonna be putting in a AccuSump. So between those two things, I hope this engine never ever has oiling problems again. But yeah. But it's really easy to put in the car. One thing I love about this car is like everything as far as like putting in and removing the engine is very, very easy. It's got the cannon plug on the firewall. All the hoses and lines just like go together really easily. There's a lot of space. It's very nice. Also no radiator up front. Literally like takes an hour to take an engine out. But it's time to put it in.
That is really nice. So much fun.
Normally we'd have to do a time lapse for this part, but you know, it's just like so quick, we're not even a point. It'd be a 1 second time lapse. Ready to go down?
We got time to learn.
Not that much.
Good.
Clear here.
That way to see it again. Okay, so
You want to switch that in there?
through the subframe.
Yeah. It's a bit late.
It needs to
Can't
be down
see.
in here.
Oh, okay.
It's just
Oh, I
not
need to
big.
go down there. 2 inches after you get
I think it's tilted your way, Sam, so I'll have to put yours in and then
Yeah.
drop it and let it pivot that way. Blake decided to stop by right as we're putting the motor in, so he looks like the hero. Like, yeah, dude,
exactly.
look at all this work we did.
Save the day.
I said that about Kelly earlier.
As I'm about to hand Sam this and say,
Yeah.
figure this out.
It needs to come
Toward-
this way
towards
and
you.
back in here, or down in here.
Down?
Yeah.
Your hands clear?
No.
Okay.
Okay, go down. Okay, right there.
Basically, like once the engine's in and like the mounts are set, then I can mess with like putting on the clutch and the rear bearing and the trans. All that stuff's really easy. I prefer personally to put the trans on separate, especially like this trans is really, really easy to mess with. So putting the engine in separate, a lot of guys will put them both together and like spoon it in the car. I think it's a little bit harder trying to like do these crazy angles, and especially when you have like nice paint on the firewall, you don't want to scratch it.
Wants to come up a hair and then my way. A little bit more. Okay.
Sam's like, shut up, I'm working. Stop talking.
How do you get?
Not easily.
Yeah.
Can we just go down now? To get his in? Okay. Okay.
I'll show you sides.
Okay. Thank you. No idea where all these washers were.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't know if we
Probably some on this
Yeah.
side.
Once it's up in the air, I can kind of like shimmy them underneath the motor mounts. This is how I build motor mounts. I just weld a piece of tube, and then if the engine needs to be shimmed up or down, I do it that way with washers.
6 of them.
Super fancy. I call them adjustable motor mounts. We're back to the bread. The bread's never let me down. Also, that's how you get shop mice.
Can we shove some hot dogs in there too?
No. The hot dogs don't do the job, only the bread. This is a high compression bread. Missed the hole.
You got a snack?
Yeah. You got like a bread nugget. There it is. It's moving now.
Yeah, that's how you know it has egg yolk in it.
Did you just come for harassment?
I did the bread method recently.
Have you done the nut and bolt method?
I tried a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Did it work?
The peanut butter and jelly sandwich was a terrible mistake.
Don't even need a pilot bearing now. You just jam the trans right in there. Like that. A little bit of grease on there. It's actually self-lubricating. Don't need grease.
Can I make a sandwich with that?
Sourdough. I was actually being respectful because it was still good bread. I think it's your bread. What I did is I took the heel because nobody's going to eat that, right? And so I used that. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for the bread, but also you're welcome.
Still same level of easiness?
Maybe a hair tighter.
I feel that.
It is the same.
I'm looking for the Loctite. Can't find it. Last person to touch it was me. I set it on the table, but I set it down like that. And then I took off my rubber gloves because I had to pick my nose. And then I set the rubber gloves on top of it, but it was on its side. So when I was looking for it, I was looking for something that was standing vertically without rubber gloves on top of it, which is why it took me so long to find it. But I'm very persistent and I did find it. However, it's empty, so I don't know how much good it's gonna do me at this point. Should I do like Rad Dan? So when you're assembling your 2JZ, what you're gonna wanna do is use some Loctite here because you have an open passageway into the crankcase and you don't want oil coming out onto your clutch because that's not good for it. So make sure and use a generous amount of Loctite so that the guy after you that's gonna take it apart has a very difficult time getting these out. All right, the engine is in place, the transmission is in place. We got pretty far on it. There's a couple things that were missing that are not weekend projects, like we need to have a couple oil lines made. I'm going to change the way the oil lines are set up, and I'm going to add the AccuSump probably up front here if I can. If not, I'll have to run it inside. But that's pretty much it. It would start if it wasn't for that stuff, but I'm not too worried about this engine. I think it'll start and run no problem. Working on getting the fenders on. We had to lower the front. I'll probably lower it a little bit more. Same with the back. We got to lower the back probably 3 inches or so. But I made some decisions. I'm going to put different doors on this car, and I have rear fenders for it. So basically, we'll have, as Jesse calls it, a blank canvas to work with. I don't know exactly what we're going to do yet. And whenever I do decide, I probably won't post it. It'll just be, the reveal will be on the trip. But that leaves the roof of the car to be changed. So basically, it's time to start peeling off this vinyl that's been on here since 2015. It's kind of a big deal to take this livery off of here. But it's definitely time for something different. So I think that's it for tonight. I'm gonna get back to it tomorrow and finish up some of the other stuff. Probably get the AccuSump mounted, and I obviously can't have oil lines made on the weekend, but I can make some plans of how things are gonna be laid out and just hook up some more stuff. Probably fill the oil and coolant, stuff like that. But pretty excited. I'm excited to drive this car. I'm excited to go on Drift Week again and have like just a good driving experience. But more than anything, like I'm excited to get this car prepped for Hot Pit because I think Hot Pit's going to be a really fun series to run this year, and signed up for the whole season. I'm going to try and do every round, and if this car is dialed as I expect it to be, I think we have a really good chance to do well at Hot Pit. All right, fast forward. Got a lot done, ready to start. I'll show you a couple things that I've done. I modified this coil harness a little bit, or not the coil harness, but the coil bracket. Look at these coils, they all fit really beautifully in there, but that last one doesn't fit because of my water pipe thing that I have to clear the cab forward design on the S13 chassis. So I ended up cutting the bracket a little bit. Don't tell Dylan I cut his bracket in half. And then mounted that lower, so it's still solid in there, and it's good. This is actually a different coil, it's a little bit shorter. because I also didn't have a set of 6 matching coils. I had 5 of this style and 5 of that style, so I'll take a few extras of those. And but anyways, looks pretty good. Before, the coils were just kind of dangling in there. They never really had a problem, so it was okay, but this is a way better. It looks more professional, and it is a better design, and it eliminates the possibility of future problems. So I'm stoked on that. Everything else is pretty much the same. I had to run around and find a belt to fit that because this crank pulley is actually a larger diameter. And if you want, you can comment about me not having a front cover. Bailey and I already talked about front covers and the possibility of rocks getting down in there. But basically my thought is, if you don't have a full front cover from top to bottom, then the bottom cover is not going to do you any good. All it does is trap rocks and not let them get out of there. So if they're going to get in there, they're going to get in there. But if you have a plastic cover, they get stuck in there and then bang around instead of just falling off to the side. So yes, I know it's a risk. Yes, if my motor blows up, it'll be ironic. I'll make a video about it, tell you guys you were all right. But for the time being, this is how I'm running. That's a Mechman 200 amp alternator, so I had to get a belt that fits around there. That was a little bit of a chore. But yeah, basically the car's ready to start. We did a little bit of cranking with no fuel and no power, just to get some oil run through it. And it sounds healthy, but let's go ahead and give her the first start. Don't rev it up, he says. All right, power on, fuel pump. Check for oil leaks. Smoke come out of there. Yeah, there it is.
Smell that?
What do you smell?
It smells like a corn chip. Actually, it really smells like pork rinds are coming out of your tailpipe right now.
You don't like ethanol. Bailey just tell me how he hates the smell of E85.
This is like porky 85.
Why did you die? Oh, maybe I should turn the water pump on.